So thank you, Pawan and Ayushi, for joining us today at Prop Academy. Today we are talking about delayed housing projects, a matter that has plagued 4.8 lakh crores worth of properties, right? So 4.8 lakh crores, and 50% of this is in the NCR region itself, right? Pawan, you have been stuck in multiple such property projects, unfortunately. I understand that you're currently stuck in a project. Ayushi, as a High Court lawyer, you have been fighting multiple cases, for end consumers at the High Court of Karnataka, Rera, NCLT. So I thought, it would be interesting to have a conversation just to understand from both of you that as an end buyer, what do you do? So two things basically. One is that as an end buyer, once you find yourself stuck and in that position, what do you do? And the second is, what do you do to prevent yourself from even getting into that position, right? So let me start with you, Pawan. So what's the first thing? I mean, what's the first thing? You bought something, you're paying your EMIs, and then suddenly you realize that the project is stalled. So what's the first thing that someone should do?
Yeah, so what happens is that once you bought a property, you if it's under construction, which is what happens with most of us, that we pick up a project, it's under construction, so it's easy on the pocket because you pay in stages, and you pay something called a pre-EMI. So the pre-EMI is essentially the interest component on the loan that you borrowed. It goes nowhere except it goes to the lender. It doesn't adjust the loan that you've taken. It's only the interest that you're paying the lender. So it is going into the pocket of the lender. It does not reduce your loan per se. That's the first thing to understand. And every disbursement that is done by the lender in favor of the builder, the interest amount as the pre-EMI increases incrementally till finally the project is over, and then you move at the handover stage, you move into an EMI. So when you ask what do you do, the first thing you do is that you search for legal recourse. In your search for legal recourse, the first thing you do is you look for a law firm or a lawyer who's got experience in property matters.
Okay.
And the lawyer should have both civil and criminal legal counsel as his team, because you may have to proceed in a civil case or parallelly in a criminal case, because there will be defaults by the builder in a criminal manner, where he's got the money, he may have diverted the funds to new projects.
So would you hire a lawyer in your personal capacity?
Yes, you will hire a lawyer in your personal capacity. That's the first thing you will do. Then you will step out. The lawyer will advise you then that there must be others who have bought the property. Try and trace them. So then you get out onto the site and you start checking who else is visiting there. That's how you meet up with other customers.
Okay. So
and
you would get
and you start a group. You start a group. And communicate with others that how are they placed, what are they up to.
Right.
And then whoever is considered a better legal counsel, you'll discuss internally and you'll meet one or the other lawyer and explain your plight. Then from there, the lawyer guides you, that he says that you first form an association of aggrieved buyers.
Right.
So you've got to form an association of buyers. And then take that association, register that association. After you register that association, then you start framing exactly what are your next steps, like reaching out to the multiple lenders, because people would have borrowed from different banks.
Right. I got that. Yeah, makes sense. So basically, you would form an association. Yeah, and then you would hire a lawyer, and both of these things go together. And we were talking about the lenders. So with context to the lenders and the EMI that we're paying, Ayushi, coming to you, I mean, it's bad enough, right? It's bad enough that you're stuck on a project, that, your hard-earned money is, your down payment is stuck in. Here you're paying EMIs and nothing is coming out of it. So is there some sort of legal recourse for that? Is there something that can be legally done to stop the EMIs?
So, Sapna, in the recent years, there's a scheme that has been developed called as a subvention scheme. It's also known as the 90-10 scheme or the 80-20 scheme. And usually the builders float these schemes, and it's to attract the customers into buying these under constructed projects, because it seems like these schemes are more financially secure, and it seems like these schemes will give you a discount, like an overall financial benefit when you buy the project.
Yeah.
So what essentially happens is that the builder, the bank, and the home buyer, they enter into a tripartite agreement. And as per the tripartite agreement, it is agreed that the home buyer will be paying a very small down payment. It'll be around 5%, in some cases as low as 5%, and it can go up to 20% the down payment amount.
Okay.
And the rest of the amount will be funded by the bank itself. Now, this money which is funded by the bank is directly disbursed from the bank to the builder itself. So the home buyer has very little or no control over the amount that is being disbursed to the builder.
Okay.
Now that is a very big issue, and that is the scope which gives the builder to misutilize these funds or divert, like how Mr. Pawan said, that it's very common in in these construction, especially with developers, that they end up diverting these funds into other construction projects. Now when this happens, after a few years, you realize that your project has come at a standstill and that nothing is moving forward. So what do you do as a home buyer? You're forced to still pay the EMIs, the interest on the EMI, and what is called as a pre-EMI. You don't have an option to stop paying these these EMIs, because there is a possibility that if you stop paying the EMIs, your CIBIL score will go down, or the bank itself can take proceedings against you. They can file 138, or they can take other legal remedies, or these recovery agents start coming to your house and they start troubling you. So in these cases, what a home buyer can really do is he can either approach a civil court, or even now there is a latest Karnataka High Court judgment which has granted reliefs to many home buyers. And as per the Karnataka High Court judgment, the court has recognized that certain banks or certain financial institutions wrongfully disburse very large amounts of money to construction projects, and due to which these construction projects are stopped and construction doesn't move forward. And now the entire financial burden of paying the EMIs is on the home buyers. So the Karnataka High Court judgment recently stated that financial institutions and banks cannot pressurize or take adverse action against these home buyers and force these home buyers to pay pre-EMIs or EMIs on projects which are still under construction, or the construction has been stalled completely, or the project has been delayed. So one of the remedies that home buyers can take is approach a civil court, get an injunction from the court against the bank to not debit this pre-EMI amount from them, or they can approach a high court and file. If there are a group of home buyers, like Pawanji said, you'll be forming an association, a group of home buyers can approach the high court and ask for a similar relief, restraining banks from debiting pre-EMIs on their loan accounts.
Okay, so that's good news. That's good news that we have something like that now.
Yes.
So we spoke about subvention scheme and pre-EMIs, but subvention schemes were banned in 2019, right? So Pawan, do you know like how are builders able to use the scheme even if it's banned?
See, what's happening today is that at that stage, what was happening was that the bank was debiting the customer the interest on the subvention amount. Okay, so let's say I pay 5% and 95% is payable by the bank. I don't have to pay a penny till the project is completed. This was the subvention scheme till budget of 2019. Post the budget of 2019, this scheme was scrapped by the central government in the union budget. But what builders have been doing post that is that they have continued to offer these schemes. They have an arrangement with the bank that that interest is borne by the bank, and the customer doesn't pay it. So the builders have priced their project in such a way that that finance cost is built into the purchase price of the property.
Okay.
This is what is happening.
Interesting.
So what happens is that you pay your 10% or 5% or 15% or whatever, and you don't pay a penny till completion, and the builder takes on that burden of the interest.
Okay.
So the projects are priced such that they built this in.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what has happened.
Got it.
Adding to that, I think in some projects I've also seen that the builder undertakes to refund the interest amount to the home buyer. So there's no tripartite agreement as such on paper, but the liability of paying the interest is on the home buyer, and in a separate agreement, the builder says that as soon as you pay the interest to the banks, we will refund the entire interest amount into your bank account. So these are also some of the schemes. This is also some of the ways in which agreements are being worded nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, certain reputed builders who the customer trusts because of their track record, they offer what Ms. Ayushi is saying, that they offer this option. And what happens is you're supposed to share your payment detail, and within 48 or 72 hours, they will credit you that amount back in your account.
Understood.
The only downside of that is that it's a matter of, there will be a document, but there's a huge amount of trust involved, because after maybe few months, it could be that the builder, skips one or two of these refunds, and then you get worried.
Then you get worried. Exactly. That's a red flag. Yeah. So, when Rera came into being, Ayushi, we all thought that, okay, this diverting of funds will finally stop, and, we won't see all of this happening in the real estate industry. We're supposed to clean up the industry. But that hasn't really happened, isn't it? At least in Karnataka, Rera is not very effective. I don't know how it is in the other states. Maybe you can throw some light on that. Is it even worthwhile going to Rera?
Sapna, on that point, I would like to say that it is not that the Rera does not provide any protection at all. Definitely, the builders are far more alert now because of the Rera regulations, and there are multiple kind of reliefs that you can get through Rera. So one really effective relief is that you can approach when a group of home buyers form an association and they figure out that, okay, this particular developer or builder is not is not going to continue with the construction or not going to complete the construction, and they already see financial trouble there, they can form an association, approach the RERA under Section 8 and ask for the construction of the project or the project to be transferred to another builder, which they recognize out of their own choice. So multiple projects which have been stalled in Bangalore have been transferred from previous builders to new builders now. And this entire process, and in some cases, even the association takes over the project and on its own accord finds a new builder and then gets it transferred. So there is definitely an option available with home buyers now to get the project itself transferred to a new builder if you are so dissatisfied with the current builder.
Understood.
Another option which is available in RERA is to approach under Section 18, where you file a complaint before RERA and you tell where you can file a complaint on the ground that the project delivery has been delayed, right? So when the project delivery gets delayed and it's not given to you as per the terms of the agreement itself, you can do two things. You can, one, ask for a complete refund of the amount that you have paid as down payment, and you can ask for a cancellation of your agreement to sell itself. So in that case, your ATS will be cancelled and your entire down payment will be refunded back to you. In some cases, RERA has also given the relief that your loan amount, right, the loan liability which is on you, even that is transferred to the builder. So even your loan liability gets transferred to the builder and you can completely exit from the project, right? And another interesting thing is that if you can choose to remain in the project if you want to, and also seek interest. It's possible that the project, instead of being delivered in 3 years, has been delivered to you in 6 years, and you still want to continue to remain in the project. So you can seek interest for a delayed period. Now, Sapna, with all of this, the trouble arises with execution.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you may get an order from RERA and it may just be a paper decree. right? It becomes very, very difficult to really execute these Rera orders. And we have seen in multiple occasions that home buyers have succeeded in getting orders, but they have not succeeded. And even after 2 to 3 years, they're still languishing in, really getting their orders executed. But on the other hand, it's not a waste piece of paper. It's very important to understand that in a lot of ways, your debt is secured in a lot of ways, and just in case if the home buyer does end up in insolvency, it is a piece of paper which ensures that you are a financial creditor of that particular company, and you can then even seek for your right before the NCLT once you get this order from Rera. Yeah.
Okay. Pawan, did you have anything to add in what has been your experience with Rera?
Yeah, actually, what Ms. Ayushi said is very right, that execution of a Rera order is virtually impossible. It's not that Rera is a toothless tiger. Rera issues the order. Post issuance of order, I have come across a instance of someone known to me who has taken this order to the last mile. The last mile means the order says that you are now to recover this money from the builder. You approach the local area authority where the builder's property is.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, you approach his residential locality, and by the by, you keep going down to the revenue zone, and you go right up to there to execute this. But it just doesn't go down there because of leakages in the system. All that happens is that document does the rounds. And I know this gentleman who's got a Rera order 2.5 years ago, and for the last 30 months, he's not been able to get anything out of it. That's where it stands. So then what happens is that then you decide to also go to the consumer court to get financial relief.
Okay.
Parallel to Rera, where I would like Ms. Ayushi to take that point up, that you're in line of defense. So let her explain that.
So that was my next question. And what else do you do? You go to Rera. That's not, you can't execute the Rera order. So then what else? What are the other options that a consumer has when they're in this position?
Yeah, so Sapna, another option which is available with home buyers is to definitely approach a consumer forum for deficiency of service on behalf of the builder. So in the consumer forum, and there is a recent Supreme Court judgment also on this, which says that not only can you seek for compensation and damages, but you can now seek for complete refund of your amount, which essentially means that you're asking for an exit from the project. So the same relief that you were before Rera can now also be sought before the consumer forum, and execution in the consumer forum is far more easier than it is to execute in a Rera court or a Rera order. So so definitely consumer forum is a great viable option available for home buyers.
So can you skip Rera? Sorry to interrupt you. Can you skip Rera and go to consumer court directly? Yeah.
There are two parallel forums, Sapna. What needs to be understood is there are two parallel forums, and one does not prohibit the other. So, you have the choice to approach Rera, you have the choice to approach consumer forum. So you can choose and pick which forum you'd want to approach, right?
But ideally take on both, Ayushi, would you say? Ideally
so
take
you
on
can
both?
You can take on both, but you can't ask for the same relief. For example, if you're asking for refund in Rera, then in consumer you would ask for, let's say, compensation and damages, or yes. So yes, you can pursue both also at the same time if that's what you wish to do. The next is when a group of, if you are a very big home buyer, let's say, or a group of home buyers have formed an association. Now, home buyers are also recognized as financial creditors in the NCLT, right? So, under the IBC code, which is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code now, right? So, these home buyers can collectively approach NCLT and file for a corporate insolvency resolution process of the project itself. And now, when that happens, and if your petition is admitted, then the entire CIRP process starts, where a resolution professional is appointed who is a professional in handling distressed companies and distressed projects. And he then, carries on the process where he floats a advertisement, and then resolution applicants are called out, and these resolution applicants who are now interested in buying the project and building it can come in and also take over the project. So NCLT is also an option which is available for
Okay.
home buyers to, right? Right. So another option which is available to consumers is to also approach the consumer court and file cases against the banks. So when the home buyers are certain and are, suspicious of the fact that the banks have released money without really considering the stages of construction, and have mass release the money at once. So that amounts to deficiency of service. That also amounts to violating the public trust doctrine that the banks as financial institutions have towards the public. So that gives these consumers an option to even approach consumers and move against banks. And this is in addition to the fact that, you could file a case in the High Court and stop your pre-EMI payments also. Yeah.
Yes,
So-
but are we really as an end buyer, do you really have that negotiating power to do that? So let's say that you have another builder who's coming in, right? And that's probably another option to what we have discussed, that if somebody is actually willing to come in and take over the project, and you've not been able to win at NCLT or at the consumer forum as yet, is that a good option to take?
Of course, Sapna, it's definitely a very viable option to take, because even with all the legal remedies, knowing what the ground reality is, it can take up to years before when you can actually get a court order in your favor and you're actually able to execute the court order
Yeah.
and actually get the money out of the builder. Okay. So I understand that a lot of home buyers would not agree to go to a new builder, and the new builder himself will have a lot of terms and conditions for taking over your project, right? You might have to shell out more money, you might have to give up some of the rights, etc., etc. But then it's all about balancing of, it's now these are the options available. Now you're already been pushed into this unfortunate scene that you don't want to be in, right? So now it's an individual choice. Like Pawanji said, that he does not want to go with the new builder. Of course, there is he does not have to sign the consent terms with the new builder, and an exit to him is available via the Rera route. However, if there are certain home buyers who wish to still continue in the project, they wish to still see the light of the day with the project that they have purchased, the apartments that they have purchased, and they believe that a new developer coming in would really help them to see a completed project. Yes, maybe not in 3 years what you were promised, maybe in 6 years. And that's a very viable option that is available out there. Yes.
Yeah. Especially when the whole system seems to be stacked against you, right? I mean, you are fighting so many different forums, and how many such cases do end consumers actually end up winning, Ayushi?
The percentage is very low. Just 1 minute, I have on this. I'll just check on that 1 minute.
Okay.
Not only get the order in their favor, but also are able to execute on the order, right? I mean, what's the point?
Sapna, execution is virtually impossible, Sapna. So
Exactly.
getting the order.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the system is really stacked against you, right? So
So
let's
yeah. So I'll just tell you what is the good thing. If you get the order in your favor, and you've also, let's say, gone to the consumer forum and you've got something in your favor, what it does is, I'll tell you, it insulates you from the lender executing any kind of decree to recover his money.
Okay.
This is a very important thing, which is important to understand. Why go anywhere, right?
Okay.
Okay. Ayushi,
Yeah.
Yes.
you get insulated, correct? No?
Yes. Okay.
Percentage
Yes,
may
and
be
That's a very
low.
good. That's a very important point. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. It's a great way to bring the builder on the table also. When the new builder might not want to be pushed into multiple litigations, and it's a great way to get the builder on a negotiating table.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
And then what you do, Sapna, is, if I may say, then what you do is you coerce the builder that there is a small percentage of buyers who have not bought into your consent. Why don't you buy them out and take over the loan of the bank, you know? So what happens is that you get out of it. This is really what happens. So there is a window of exit.
So coming to my last question, and this is for you, Pawan. It's a tough battle to fight, right? Yeah, this is a tough battle to fight. So I mean, what can home buyers do to ensure they don't get into this mess? What are the checks and balances to ensure that you are validating the project that you are getting into?
So my first learning was that when you sign an agreement to buy, when you sign an agreement, the first thing is that make sure it's registered.
Okay.
None of my agreements are registered. Okay.
This
so
is the agreement
what they do is agreement to buy.
Agreement to buy. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. What happens is that the builder and the buyer. See, there are two types of agreements, as Ayushi mentioned. One is an agreement, a construction agreement, and a sale agreement. These are the two things that are signed by the builder with you,
right.
Which is a two-way agreement, you and the builder. The third one is a three-way agreement called tripartite between the lender, the builder, and the buyer. Okay, in which again, between the lender and the builder, they put the buyer in the corner. Okay. Imagine a boxing match where you are in one corner and these two guys are coming at you. Because one is promising to give you the property, the other is promising to give the money to get the property made. And in both cases, they say the borrower and the home buyer, one guy says you're the borrower, the lender, so you are responsible for the money back to me. And the builder says that on your behalf, I'm taking the money from the lender and I am committing that I'll complete the project. But he doesn't say anything about any penalty if he doesn't complete in time. Okay. So what happens is it's left to the mercy of the buyer. In all the three cases, first thing you must do is you must get that document registered. If it's not registered, see, I'll tell you what happens with a layman buyer. He thinks that a franking of a document, he doesn't know the difference between franking and registering. Please understand. At the best of times, he sees stamps on the document. He thinks it's a stamped agreement. It is not. It's not registered. It's a franked agreement. So a registered agreement, firstly, has admissibility in a court of law. There are situations where you have a unregistered agreement. Because you have an unregistered agreement, till it is registered, you can't even transact. If you have a registered agreement, I can sell it to someone. Understand that? Am I right, Ayushi? If my agreement is registered,
you should,
I can transfer my rights to a buyer if he is willing to take the risk. Am I right?
Yes, you should definitely look at registering your agreement first and foremost. Because even then, getting the agreement implemented through court process is a lot more easier. I think the other things, even before you enter into the range of registering your agreement or even decide to get a flat from a builder, you need to do a proper due diligence. You need to do a proper background check on the builder. You need to do a proper background check on the property and the project itself, right? What is the financials of the project? Where is the funds going to come from? Who are the banks that are involved? Do a past history record check of the builder itself. Look at whether the builder himself is under a lot of financial constraints, or the company or the building or the construction company has a lot of loans on them. See, these things will point out, whether the builder has the financial stability to actually complete the project, right? So it's very, very important that you do this due diligence even before you think of buying a project from a builder. Because with the IBC code coming in, it has become very easy to push a builder into insolvency. And then when that happens, it becomes very difficult for anybody to get their money out, right? So whether the builder is financially stable enough to ensure that he can complete the project, And that is a background check which is really required to be done even before you
Okay.
think about
So
buying a
I'll share
project.
one more with you. I'll share one more with you. For one of my projects, which is not, the agreement wasn't registered, but the due diligence that was done, the due diligence that my late lawyer did was that he asked for the complete 7 generations back history of the property itself, of the land on which the construction was taking place. Can you throw any
That's how
light on
title
that?
diligence is done, sir,
Yeah,
on a property.
title diligence. So, Sapna, there is something called as title diligence to the property on which the construction will happen. That is
Right.
also equally important.
Yeah.
That must happen.
Yes, that
Okay.
is very important. You need to make sure that there are no past litigations or litigations which are pending on the property. Because what happens is a lot of times when after the builder and the developer and the landowners enter into a JD and the construction starts, that's when all these litigations start coming up, and then the project is halted and there's a stay from the High Court, and then you're not able to move forward with the project. So it's very important to get it checked that whether the property on which the building is being constructed is itself clear, the title is
Title
absolutely
deed.
clear. Yeah, the title is absolutely clear and there are no litigations which are floating around the property. Another very important thing to be checked is
One sec. On this
whether
point,
the
if I can add a point, I have had a personal experience where we didn't purchase a property. This was in Koramangala, Easypura, that we did not purchase a property because the title deed showed that originally the villagers who owned the land, they had not completely handed over all the pieces and parcel of the land on which this independent house had been constructed. And that saved us from getting into a litigation.
Okay.
And this was a purchase taking place from a well-known personality who, actually went out of the way to try and intimidate us and bully us to take the property. But my lawyer stood firm. I've actually had that experience based on the land title deed.
Okay.
Sorry, you can carry
Okay.
on.
Ayushi?
right. The other things to be looked into is whether the builder has obtained all necessary approvals for construction of the plan, whether he's got the sanction plan. So certain for very technical minor reasons, the construction may be halted, right? So whether he's got the environment clearance, let's say, okay, because if the project is very close to a lake, or if there's uh, or there's any other
Green
problem.
belt.
Yes. Yeah, if it's near a green belt and the builder has not got the required approval to construct the project, then again construction can be stalled, right? So whether the builder has obtained all necessary approvals to go ahead with the construction, right? There are multiple reasons as to why you would want to buy an under construction project. Okay, it works out better financially in a lot of ways. But even when you're buying an under constructed project, ensure that the project is in a condition that the construction can take place without any interferences or any problems as such, right? You don't want all these external issues to cause a delay in the construction of the project. So that's one thing very important to look at. And consumers and home buyers should be really educated about these things, that it is not the builder's headache. I mean, it is a builder's headache to get these approvals, but if the builder doesn't, then it all falls on the home buyers. So ensure that when you're buying a project, you ask these questions actively to the builder. Have you obtained every necessary approval that is required to construct this project, right? Even I have seen cases where there are defense lands around the project or defense projects around the project, because of which the project construction has been halted. So there might be multiple approvals that you might need to construct a project, and from multiple agencies and organizations which are involved. So question that a home buyer should actively ask when he's purchasing a property.
Understood.
In fact,
Yeah.
Sapna, to just mention 2 more things that there's no specific reason that I'm mentioning this, but the manner in which in the last maybe 5 years, from 17 to 22, these 5 years have been very, very difficult on home buyers
Yes.
because of multiple defaults and multiple skeleton projects all over the country, not only in Bangalore.
Yes.
Two things that came out of this was go to a reputed builder. Okay, that's why the builders of repute are seeing very high, sales.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two is they do their diligence perfectly, and their legal team provides you every document that you require. So you must go to a lawyer when you're planning to buy a property. He will give you a laundry list of documents. The large builders will readily provide them to you either in a soft form or they'll give you a CD. Okay.
Okay.
The second thing is the downside, the sad part for under construction projects is that this entire mess is forcing people to start looking at ready to move,
Yes.
fully constructed properties. The upswing of ready to move has become huge. And for the first time in the last 18 months, builders have started offering almost 50% of their stock as ready to move because they've realized that there are so many issues. People are
Yes.
comfortable just walking in,
Yeah.
moving into an EMI, walking into a ready property rather than the hassle of getting into all these pitfalls. I just wanted to
Exactly.
mention this
Yeah.
in closing
Yeah.
from my side. This is what I have to contribute.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
I
no,
know very
brilliant points.
good
Yeah.
people. I know very well-off people who have got no issues even with reputed builders, the 5-star category, that they would rather go for a completed project of that builder
Yeah.
rather than an under construction and take
Yeah.
on this hassle because falling by the wayside can happen to even the biggest of builders.
That is true. That is true. In fact, that is what even we are seeing around us, that people want to that people nowadays prefer ready to move in projects. But very valuable insights. Thank you so much, Ayushi and Pawan. The whole philosophy at Prop Academy is to educate consumers so they can safeguard their interests and not get carried away in marketing schemes like we've been speaking about. We will also be hearing from some home buyers who themselves have been stuck in projects. So stay tuned.
I booked Unicorn Property North Group 46 in 2016 October. 2 years it was going good, but in 2018 Bolanini came into picture. After that the worst situation started, and it did not work out very well. So almost 5 years it's gone, nothing happened. So my suggestion is go with the only ready to move property. Don't trust anyone.
Facing is a scenario where the land cost was to be paid in 10 years, whereas the flats were to be delivered in 3. So even if the flat owners paid the money in 3 years through EMIs, the land cost still remained unpaid and the builders defaulted.
Owning a house in the Silicon City of Bangalore is everybody's dream, and in order to fulfill this dreams, people go miles and miles in search of their dream home. And when they get an offer which is suitable for them, and the builder also gives them some golden schemes such as 0% down payment and no EMI holidays and rental agreement, your happiness has no limits. And you say, yes, this is the house that I want, and you jump into it. Okay, so one thing that you have to keep in mind is not to believe the builder's promises.